Hello and welcome everyone to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. We are thrilled that you were able to take some time out of your evening to join us this evening. Tonight, we will be speaking about a very hot topic, your bill and planning ahead. So you will be getting all of the inside scoop, those dates and deadlines, everything that's important related to paying your bill at UC Merced for your upcoming academic year. My name is Ricky Hill and I'm an e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Thank you once again for joining us. Before we do kick everything off, let me give you a couple of quick tips. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen. If you need to adjust the size of your window, click on View Options at the top portion of your screen. Most importantly, this evening, we do have available for you the Q&A button at the lower portion of the screen. You can send us your questions. We will definitely get back to those, either behind the scenes, we are fully staffed, or during a live question and answer session at the end of this program. So you definitely want to stick around for that opportunity. Once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is my great pleasure to be your moderator. At this time, I would like to hand things over to the Director of Financial Aid, Ron.
Thank you, Ricky, and welcome everybody and to all of our future Bobcats. Like Ricky said, my name is Ron Radney. I'm the Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships. I'm very excited to be joining you this evening for this presentation, along with two of my close colleagues who I would like to ask to introduce themselves. Lisa?
Hello, everybody. My name is Lisa Perry. I'm the director of our Students First Center. And for those of you who don't know what our Students First Center is, we're our campus one-stop. So we are cross-trained in admissions, financial aid, registration, and billing. So more than likely, if you've called us, you have spoken to a Students First Center staff member. And tonight we are here to kind of help you prepare for your billing that will take place in August. Miguel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Lisa. Hey, everyone, my name is Miguel Mendoza Miramontes, and I work in Student Business Services. Student Business Services is the billing department, and my department handles assessing fees, payment plans, and things of that nature.
All right, thank you, Miguel. So as Ricky indicated, our staff will be monitoring the chat so we can answer some of your questions live at the end of this presentation about the direct cost worksheet tool that we'll go over. Also, I'd like to note that this is a supplemental presentation to our previous presentation on understanding your financial aid offer letter, which was recorded and is posted on our admissions website. And I will put that link in the chat for everybody so that you can view that that recorded webinar.
So the screen we're looking at now is the timeline for the fall 2021 semester. The first thing that's going to happen is in August 2nd, your billing statement will be generated by our office, Student Business Services, and will be available for viewing. The billing statement will have your authorized financial aid and all your charges for the fall semester. Financial aid is then expected to post onto the student account on August 17th, as long as all financial aid requirements have been met. And then the fall payment deadline is August 18th to either pay the balance in full or set up for a payment plan. And then the thing we're all looking forward to is classes begin on August 25th.
All right, thank you, Miguel. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a supplemental presentation to our Understanding Your Financial Aid Offer Letter. And so just to briefly recap before we get into this slide from our previous presentation, your financial aid offer letter includes a gift aid section listing an estimate of the free aid that you may be eligible to receive based on your financial aid application. It also includes a self-help section listing aid that for some students might include federal work study, which is earned throughout the year, or student loans borrowed by the student, and in some cases the parent. And just to note, you're under no obligation to accept any or all of these awards, and you may request a lesser loan amount if you don't need the entire amount. Your offer letter also includes a breakdown of your cost of attendance, which represents an estimated budget of what it will cost you to live and attend school for the 9 months that you're here. It includes an estimate of your tuition and fees, personal expenses, room and board to live on campus, transportation, UC health insurance, which may be waived if you have comparable health insurance, and we can talk about that in a little bit, and also books and supplies. Now, the cost of attendance numbers on your financial aid offer letter are only estimates used to award aid. To get a better sense of your actual costs, we created an online direct cost worksheet tool, which Lisa will demo for you here in a minute. Lisa, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So I want to also touch on what you're looking at on this screen right now as well. As Ron mentioned, you got an offer letter when we initially awarded you financial aid. At any time, you can access an electronic version of that information in your Connect account. And so this is an example of a test student and what they see in their financial aid awards in their Connect account. And you can see that they've got the cost of attendance that Ron was talking about over on the right-hand side. And then down at the bottom, they've got the different types of aid that they've been offered. Everybody's is going to look different. So if you have specific questions after this presentation, because I really think this presentation is going to answer a lot of your questions. If you have specific questions after tonight, we encourage you to contact us and we'll drop our contact information in the chat and we'll share it with you again at the end. But if you want to follow along for this next piece of the presentation, I encourage you to do so. And there's a couple of tools that you're going to need in order to follow along, basically. So the first tool is to get to your direct cost worksheet. And bear with me because I need to move in and out of a few screens to get you all the things that you're going to need, but it'll be worth it. So the easiest way that I tell students to get to it is by going to our financial aid website, which is financialaid.ucmerced.edu. Super easy to remember. You can also Google financial aid UC Merced and it'll pop right up. If you scroll down a little bit, this cost icon, that's where you want to go. And what Ron was talking about earlier about your direct costs, your cost of attendance, you can read all about that here for detailed information. In case you ever forget what we told you tonight and you want to refer back to it, it's always on our website. Very easy to follow along. There's lots of information here. So then if you want to continue following along, you're going to click on this link here, the UC Merced Undergraduate Direct Cost Worksheet. When you click on that, it's going to prompt you to log in if you're not already logged into your Connect account. I'm going to pause real quick and let people do that. And if you're unfamiliar with Connect, I do have that on another page. So this is what this is what it looks like when you get into Connect in the My Merced section. And so you'll want to also, on another page, go into Connect, click on My Merced, and then click on this My Financial Aid. And when you click on the My Financial Aid, that's when this piece is accessible to you, because you'll want this later on and you'll see why in just a minute. You'll need to select the aid year when you get in. So 21-22 is the aid year we're going to be looking at because it's fall 21 and spring 22. And then you want to click on the tab that says Award Overview. And just in case this question is popping up in chat, because I can't see your chat while I'm talking to you, but if anybody has applied for FAFSA or their California Dream App, and this is blank for you, you need to contact us. Send us an email or call us tomorrow so that we can help you troubleshoot why that might be. Okay, so you have those two things pulled up. You've got your Connect, your My Financial Aid, and then you've clicked on that link that takes you to the Undergraduate Direct Cost Worksheet. And this is what you should see. So everybody's, again, is going to look a little different. I have a test student pulled up on mine. And so for my test student, what this has done is since test student is logged in, it has populated with test students' personal information for their financial aid. So what you're seeing on this worksheet is you've got a section A, a section B, a section C, and a section D. Section A are basically your charges. So your cost of attendance that Ron was talking about. You've got fees and tuition on line 1. If you are a non-California resident, you may see line 2 populated. If you're living on campus, you're gonna see line 3 populated. And just so you know, line 3 right now is an estimate. It's a high estimate. And these are all estimates right now because it's a planning tool. So this is not your final bill. And like Miguel said, you will have your final bill in August, but this tool is a really, really close estimate of what your bill is gonna look like. Line 4 has your health insurance on it. And then line 5 are your total charges for the fall, spring, and academic year total. Now, this is an interactive tool, so you can manipulate this to fit your situation. So like Miguel and Ron were talking about earlier, health insurance is a requirement for all UC students. You have to have major medical coverage, but many of you might have coverage through your family or Medi-Cal, and if that's the case, you'll need to fill out the waiver. You can access the waiver in your checklist, and then when the waiver is approved, and it comes off your checklist, it will waive off of your bill. So a couple of notes about that since I'm on it. If you are a new student and you have completed the waiver and you've gotten the email saying that your waiver has been approved, it will not come off your checklist until you've registered in courses. So don't worry about that right now. Just hold on to that email that says you've been approved. But the reason I bring that all up is because then let's say I'm test student and I say, I'm covered by my family's health insurance. So I know that I don't need that and I'm going to waive out of it. So I'm going to come onto the worksheet and I'm going to erase that, type in 0, hit enter. And then if you noticed, it updated all the columns and then it updated what I actually owed down here at the bottom. So like I said, this tool is something that you can manipulate to use for your own situation. So section B is all the gift aid that this test student has been offered. So you'll see that this test student has a Bobcat grant, a Cal grant, a Pell grant, and a scholarship. And so what you'll then see is that this aid has applied, but test student still owes $1,729 for the fall semester, $1,730 for the spring semester, and $3,459 total for the academic year. Remember, I'm going to pretend that I'm test student and I'm going to start calling myself Lisa because I can't say test student anymore. It's too long. But Lisa, I have now looked at this and I've talked with my family and we just can't afford $1,700 on August 18th when the bill is due. So I am now going to then go look at the loans that I've been offered to see how I might be able to get that bill down to a more manageable point for myself. And so that's why I was saying that you would want to have this pulled up, because then you can go into your own financial aid and you can see if you were offered any loans. Now, test student in my example has already declined loans. I know that you all don't have that option yet. You can't accept or decline awards yet. So if you were offered loans, you should see them there. So most first year students, if you're offered loans, may have been offered something called a subsidized loan in the amount of $3,500. So let's pretend that me, Lisa Perry, that's what I was offered. So I'm going to come over here and half of $3,500 is $1,750. So I'm going to put that in the fall amount. I'm going to then put it in the spring amount. And then I'm going to put the total in the academic year. And then I'm going to hit enter. And look, I no longer owe anything for my housing and my food and my classes for the fall semester. So right now this number has switched to green and it's negative because that means I have accepted enough financial aid that's going to cover my bill and give me back $21 each semester. Now let's say I then go have a conversation with my parents and my parents say, well, what about books? You're going to need money for books and we can't afford to give you any extra money. So I'm going to then go look at my financial aid and say, okay, well, what else was I offered? And Lisa Perry, I was also offered an unsubsidized loan in the amount of $2,000. So I'm going to put that in here and update my worksheet to see how that changes my refund. Oops, not that much. And then I'm going to hit enter. And so now I'm getting a refund of $1,000 each semester. And for me, I'm thinking that's going to be enough for me to cover my books. And so I'm good. And so I'm going to stop there. But some of you may have been offered other types of loans. You may need more money for other personal expenses that are going on throughout the year. And everybody's situation is unique. So what you need to start doing is playing with this worksheet and having conversations with your family to determine what you can afford and what's realistic. Now, you do not have to make any decisions about loans until after July 1st. So it's still June. You have plenty of time to start thinking about this and playing around with this worksheet. I'm going to give you one more scenario just so you can think about other options. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to zero out all these loans that I had thought that I wanted. And now my family and I are having a different conversation and thinking, well, maybe we don't want to do loans. Maybe we want to do a payment plan on what you have left over. So if that's the case, and I decide I'm not going to borrow any loans, and this is actually a reasonable amount for my family to pay in an installment plan, I'm going to then sign up for the deferred payment plan, which we can bring up a little bit later when we show you the resources. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to divide my fall semester amount, which is $1,729, into 4 payments. So I'm going to divide by 4, just so I'm planning ahead. And so my monthly payments in the fall semester are going to be around $430. And so that's just another way that you could pay this balance. Another scenario might be, let's say that I didn't qualify for any scholarships. And so this was 0 for me. And so now my amount down here got bigger. And so now I need to get a little more creative and think about how can my family afford this? Well, in this scenario, I'm going to do part loan and part payment plan. So I'm going to put that subsidized loan back in here. Oops. And so with me borrowing one student loan, I now owe $979 for the fall semester and $980 for the spring semester. And so then I'm going to do a payment plan on the rest of that because that's an amount that I can afford and I can reasonably do a payment plan on. There's some other tools on this worksheet that you should pay attention to and go investigate over the next month while you still have time. We have these loans in best order of our recommendation. So the subsidized loan is first, and look, we put right here, just so you remember, best option, accrues no interest while enrolled at least half time. The second one down, your unsubsidized loan, second best option. Interest starts accruing immediately after funds are dispersed. And then some of you may have also been offered a parent loan. And this one is interest starts accruing immediately after funds are dispersed. We even have links down here at the bottom, direct loan interest rates. You can click on this to get that information. If you're a Dream Loan student, you can click here to learn more about Dream Loans. This studentaid.gov piece, that website, it's going to take you to information about the repayment plans, interest rates, the differences between the types of 2 loans. It's all there for you to read and go through. And like Ron said, this is a supplemental presentation. So we did do a presentation earlier that you can access on our website. And then at orientation, we're going to go over this again in more detail. So remember, this is a planning ahead session tonight. You don't need to make any decisions tonight, but you can start thinking about the decisions you're going to need to make and the tools that are out there for you.
Hey, Lisa?
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in here and just add a few comments. Just like Lisa showed everybody that on the UC health insurance, that if you believe that you're eligible for waiver, you can zero that out. Well, above that is the housing and meal plan. And what was pre-populated there is just the cost of attendance estimate. So if you know what room type and meal plan cost you've selected, then you can enter the exact amount into that field, which will help improve the accuracy of this overall estimate.
Yep.
The other thing is if you have non-resident tuition showing up and you believe you are eligible for an AB 540 fee waiver by filing a statement of legal residence through our registrar's office, you can zero out that amount as well if you believe that you are eligible for a waiver. Also, I think Lisa mentioned this, if you will be bringing any outside scholarships in with you, you can enter those scholarships in this worksheet as well to help with the calculation. The balance at the bottom of the tool provides you with an estimate of, like Lisa said, the amount of payments or student loans that you may need to cover that balance. Please note that, like Lisa said, all financial aid awards are currently locked for students, meaning you cannot accept any work study or student loans yet. However, you'll be able to accept those later this month or in early July. The only exception is for students who were selected for verification, meaning we have to verify that the information you posted or listed on your FAFSA or DREAM application is correct. And we do that by requiring documentation from you, such as tax returns or W-2s and other forms. And if there's a discrepancy, then we'll correct your aid application electronically and recalculate your aid eligibility. So until that review process is complete, your aid will be locked. There's also to mention, there are some limitations with this tool to be aware of. It will not automatically adjust your aid based on changes you make. So your gift aid that is pre-populated in here, if you change like from on campus to off campus, or if you do make any major changes like that in housing, from on to off or on to at home, then you need to contact the Students First Center to get in contact with one of our financial aid advisors to let you know how your aid is going to change, because this tool will not automatically change it.
Yes.
Okay, Lisa, is there anything else?
Yeah, thank you, Ron. Those were all very good points. I want to remind people how to get to this worksheet in case you missed it earlier. So the easiest way is by going to the financial aid website, which is financialaid.ucmerced.edu. And while you're here, I recommend you look at all the other informational items we have on here, because this website has a ton of good resources. But the one that we're talking about tonight is the direct cost worksheet. So you're going to scroll down, click on this cost icon, and then it's in the second paragraph, the UC Merced Undergraduate Direct Cost Worksheet. It's under single sign-on, so you will have to authenticate to get to it, and then it'll pop up and populate for you. All right, moving on from this tool, we're gonna go back to our presentation. So just some reminders. You know, we talked about the fact that we're gonna go over this in more detail at orientation. So again, you don't need to make any decisions yet. You will get more info. You can begin accepting and declining awards in July, like Ron said, and then you can start signing up for the payment plan on August 2nd. So again, you still have lots of time to make these decisions, so just start planning ahead. And then the icons at the bottom are to tell you how to get to all your financial aid resources in Connect. So when you log into Connect, it's the My Merced box on the left that you're going to be clicking on. And then the icons on the right, My Financial Aid, is where you go to look at your financial aid awards and start accepting and declining when you can do that. The My Checklist is where you're going to see your requirements that you need to complete. And then the My Bill is where you're actually going to be paying your bill. And I want to take a moment to address how financial aid applies to your bill. So when it's time, like Miguel was saying, I think we said August 17th, your financial aid will directly apply to your bill and it will pay what it can. And then you are responsible to log in and pay anything that's left over. And so you'll do that in the My Bill. And again, we'll go over that more at orientation. Miguel, I think you're up next to go over some resources for everybody.
Thank you, Lisa. So as Lisa mentioned, this slide will show you some really great tips and resources that you can just take a screenshot of. The first thing we're going to be looking at is understanding your checklist video. Your UC Merced checklist is going to be requirements that you may have as an incoming student, but every year there's going to be new requirements, so always be wary of the checklist. The direct cost video, which Ron and Lisa did touch a bit on today. Admitted students' next steps. This is great for everyone here who is an incoming student. The fee payment deadlines. This link will also include the payment deadlines for the payment plan. So if you decided to do the payment plan installments, it'll give you the 4 deadlines instead of just 1, as well as the payment plan info link. And then if you have any questions related to billing that you might think could be a frequently asked question, definitely check our billings FAQ.
Okay, I think we are going to open it up and do a couple of general questions now. Ricky, do we have any common things coming in that we might be able to address?
We absolutely do. So great job, everyone, on that great presentation. And we do have some questions coming in. And I know a couple of things, Lisa, you had repeated. I'm going to ask you just a couple more, which so might be a bit repetitive, but the same questions come through. So I want to make sure, just in case we had a listener that just tuned in, they may have missed it. Can you just mention one last time how they can access that direct cost worksheet?
Yep. So go to the financial aid website, which is financialaid.ucmerced.edu. Amy has put it over in the chat. Scroll down a little bit and click on the cost icon. And then it's in the second paragraph and there's a hyperlink that says Undergraduate Direct Cost Worksheet. We'll be recording this session and posting it so you can get back to it and rewind and listen to me tell you that as many times as you want.
Definitely. And if you guys are watching it on a replay later on, you can definitely even just scoot right back, pause it, pull up some things, listen again, and bring something back up, just like a tutorial you would do anywhere else. I know I use those quite frequently myself for various topics. All right, let's take a look at some other questions coming in here. Another general question that would benefit everyone. They're asking, when is the right time for them to accept their financial aid award?
That will be when we unlock the financial aid award packages, which should be by the end of this month or early July. Then folks should be able to go in and accept or decline their aid. Additionally, I indicated that if you are selected for verification, that during that review process, your aid will be locked until that review process is complete, and then you'll be able to accept or decline your aid at that time.
Very good. Thanks, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
All right, another question coming in, pretty general. Someone is asking, where is it exactly that they find out what the billing amount is that they have to pay by that August deadline? Where do they find their total bill?
Well,
great question.
I was going to say at this point, you can't see it, and that's why we've given the direct cost worksheet to everybody, is so that you can get a good estimate of it. But housing charges will not post to the bill, so you won't have a complete bill until early August. Miguel, do you want to add to that?
Thank you, Ron. Just going to add that you are correct. Housing won't be posted to the student account until early August, which will reflect on the August 2nd billing statement. But your charges may post in mid to late July, so you can see your charges. But again, we recommend you look at the billing statement, because that billing statement will also include your authorized aid, as well as the housing charges if you're going to be on campus.
Great. Thank you both so much. So another question coming in about payments. So someone is asking, can you pay by the month or by the semester, or is everything due at once, or is it any option that we just mentioned?
Thank you, Ricky. So as Lisa and I mentioned, we do have a payment plan. It'll break your balance due into 4 installments, which would be due the payment deadline of August 17th. Another payment in September, October, and November. So it's 4 installments. If you choose not to do the payment plan, then you can pay in full by August 17th. However, the payment plan will be open on August 2nd to sign up.
And there is a cost to participate in the payment plan.
Yes, it's an inscription fee of $40, one time.
Very good. Very important to note that $40 fee. And as Miguel mentioned, it is a one-time fee. We did have another question coming in from another listener that was similar to that, but they're asking if there's any type of interest that's applied to those payments. So it is just the $40 flat fee. Is that correct?
Yes, there is just the late fee in case you miss a payment, and the late fees are per installment date, and it's $12.50 every time you're late.
Very good to know. Thank you. All right, let's take a look here. So we've also had several questions coming in about health insurance. And so I'll kind of do a summary of those that I've seen. Some folks are wondering, how do they go about getting the waiver? And even though they have a waiver, can they still be seen at the campus health center if they have their own insurance? And also, how does that impact their bill? So for everyone that's on this call, I think we've all received this question at some point or another. So it's pretty much every aspect of the health insurance waiver.
Yeah, I can take that one. I'm also going to drop in the chat a web page with detailed instructions on how to waive. I recommend going to that page and reading through it before you click on your waiver and begin the waiver. Because if you're not the primary insurance carrier, like if your parents are, you might not be familiar with some of the questions it's going to ask you. And so this web page will help you plan ahead on what you need to know before you get into the waiver. So the waiver is going to ask you questions about the type of coverage you have, the limitations of your coverage. And so you're just going to go through and answer those questions, and then you'll get an email. I think it's just 1 to 2 business days that'll tell you approved or denied. However, please remember what I said about being enrolled and the waiver not falling off your checklist until you're enrolled. So for new students right now, if you completed the waiver and you got the email saying you were approved, and then it's still sitting on your checklist saying unsatisfied, it's because you're not registered in courses. Course registration will happen at the end of June. You'll get an email from your academic advisor with course recommendation and registration details. And then once you're registered, it'll take about another 1 to 2 business days for that health waiver item to update on your checklist and fall off, basically, say that it's satisfied. And yes, if you do the health insurance waiver, you can still be seen on campus. The health insurance is for major medical coverage. So like, let's say on the weekend, something happens and you need to go to the emergency room. That's what that medical coverage is for, or for things that our health center can't accommodate. The health center is paid for in your tuition. And so it is something that you can take advantage of without having the UC Merced health insurance. I think that was everything about health waiver, right, Ricky?
You nailed it.
Yeah, I would also add, Lisa indicated that the insurance covers like major emergencies. So part of that is that there has to be a hospital within a 50-mile radius that your insurance covers. And so you may want to check your plans to make sure that you have insurance that will be acceptable at a hospital within the radius of the campus, 50-mile radius.
Oh yeah, and then that makes me think of one other thing. Some of you may have Medi-Cal. For Medi-Cal students, there's instructions on that page that I sent. You have to change your county of residence, and there's some logistics involved with that, with not being able to change it until you get closer to actually moving to Merced. So make sure you go on and read those instructions, and then contact your caseworker in your county about doing that if you have questions, or call our health center.
I would also like to add one thing on the health insurance. I definitely recommend doing it as early as possible, just because if you wait towards the end, there is a waiting period before the health insurance information feeds over to your billing side. So though you got accepted and approved and it's been satisfied on your checklist, it can take up to a week before that charge gets offset on your bill.
Great points. Thank you all so much.
And the one last thing, the waiver period ends August 1st.
Yes, thank you.
Make sure that you get your waiver in before that.
Great questions, everyone coming in. Like I said, that was kind of a collection of all of those. So it's a big topic. So thank you for those. And thanks for the great answers. All right, let's move on over. This is still related to financial aid, but it does have to do with federal work study. We've had several questions coming in. This one in particular is asking, are they automatically placed within a campus job upon acceptance if they just accept that federal work study option, or do they need to apply? Is there legwork involved? How does that all work?
Yes, so, and Lisa, you can jump in here too, but work study is a limited fund, so not all students have been awarded work study. If you have received a work study award and you're interested in accepting that work study, it means that you can work on campus in between classes, flexible schedule, and earn a paycheck every 2 weeks and help build your resume so that when you graduate, you have a resume. And the way it works is that in early August, there is a website that you can go to that will list out all the available positions on campus for students. And so when you click on those, it will give you contact information and you can contact the hiring manager and you'll interview with them. And if they decide you're the right student for the job, they'll hire you. And then you'll go through, paperwork, hiring paperwork, and then you'll start your position. Lisa, do you have the website?
Yep, I'm pulling it up.
Okay. If you were not awarded work study, there's still opportunities for student assistant jobs on campus, which is pretty much the same thing. The only difference is the source of funding. Federal work study is basically the government gives us money to award to students to help with employing students on campus. But if you weren't awarded work study, there are departments on campus that hire students with their own funds. And so those are student assistant positions. And those positions are also listed in this job link. And so, like I said, if you haven't been awarded work study, there are still opportunities for you to work on campus.
Great, thank you so much. This one I'd like to hand over to Miguel. It has to do with what types of options do students have to make their payments? So do we have credit card options, or is it just in cash or check or anything else?
So I'm actually, let me get a link for this one as well so I can link it to the chat. So we actually have 4 different methods that students can pay. There is going to be online, there's going to be a billing portal called My Bill that you all have access to through your Connect portal. Let's see here. And on there you can pay with 2 options, either credit card or debit card. But if you use credit or debit, there's going to be a convenience fee of 2.75% added to that charge. A way to avoid that convenience fee is if you pay with an electronic check. And for the electronic check, all you need is your account number and routing number to make that electronic payment. And then our campus cashiering office will be open. Their hours have not yet been decided, but they will definitely be open like on the payment deadline, and they can accept cash or check. And then the last option is mailing options, where you can either mail in a check, or if you want to pay through a 529 plan provider, you can talk to your 529 plan servicer to mail in a check on your behalf. I think I saw someone mention the 529 plans. So for those who are going to be paying with the 529 plan, please contact your servicer as soon as you get the August 2nd billing statement, just because it can take a while for your servicer to approve the funds and send them out to our PO box. But I went ahead and linked the payment methods link. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much, Miguel, and good eye on catching that 529. That one was one of the next ones I was going to toss your way. So thank you for catching that. All right, let's move on to some housing questions that we have. So Lisa, maybe you can take this one. Where can someone find the housing rates? And did you have information about the exemption form as well?
I do. So I did put the link over in the chat. I titled it Housing and Room Rates. Down at the bottom is a spreadsheet, basically, a table that breaks down the costs for the different meal plans and the different rooms. So you can use that information to then go play around with your direct cost worksheet like Ron was talking about earlier. And then just so you all know, first-year students are required to live on campus. And so if you live within, is it a 45-mile radius, Ron?
I think it is.
Okay. If you live within a 45-mile radius, you meet what we call an exemption, but you still have to do an exemption form. And I'll put that link over there. If you don't do that exemption form and you live within the 45 miles and then you don't move into housing, we're still going to charge you for it. You don't want that to happen. So make sure that you're either doing your housing application and signing your contract now, or you're doing the exemption form if you qualify for it. Very important things. And I'll put that exemption form link in the chat now.
And there are other exemptions on that form as well, not just living within a 45-mile radius. So take a look at the form for the other exemptions.
Very good. Thank you so much. Another question that's come in from a few different attendees has to do with campus-based fees and whether or not those are something that can be waived.
As Ron mentioned, no, the campus-based fees are mandatory. So every UC gets approved for campus-based fees by the University of California Office of the President. So every UC gets to charge the campus-based fees, but it's up to the individual UC to see where those funds support. So your funds do support different departments on campus, such as transportation.
Yeah, and I'll drop the link into chat that explains all of them. But like Miguel said, it's a requirement at all UCs, CSUs. At every campus, you are charged these. They vary from campus to campus. I think UC Merced has some of the lowest ones right now.
Very good, thank you. The next question has to do with cost of attendance. So we have some participants who are asking, is that cost of attendance strictly for one semester or does that cover the full academic year?
The cost of attendance on the financial aid award letter is for the full academic year. And the award that is listed on your offer letter is for the entire year as well. Now your award will be split into 2 semesters. So half of your award will be applied for the fall semester and then the other half for the spring. But again, those are only estimates of your actual expenses, but we use those estimates to award aid.
Very good. And also another question coming in, do parents have access to a student's billing?
Thank you, Ricky. I'll take that one. So not automatically. So once a student is enrolled in university, they're protected by a federal privacy act, which is called the Federal
FERPA.
Education Rights and Privacy Act. Yeah, FERPA, which protects student records. So if a student wants to give access to a parent to see their bill, make payments on their behalf, they can. The student would just have to log on to their My Bill portal. And on the left-hand side, there's going to be a tab that reads My Account. When the student clicks My Account, there's going to be a section that reads Payers. And then the student would just add the parent's demographic or guardian's demographic. And then that would give authorization to the parent to make payments on their student's behalf and call regarding the student account. I'm going to see if we have information on that on our website. I know we were going to update it.
While we're checking for that, Miguel, and if you have it, feel free to jump back in. But let's go ahead and grab one more question. So Lisa, I'll toss this one your way. I believe this has to do with the housing exemption. And someone's asking, do they need to submit that exemption if they're a transfer student? Is there any difference?
No, transfer students are not required to live on campus. It's just incoming first years, which is a term for you've just graduated high school and this is your first time in college.
Great. And then also a question somewhat related on the housing side. What exactly do CAT dollars pay for? So can they use that for their actual tuition fees, or is it just for food and that type of thing?
No, unfortunately, you can't use CAT dollars for expenses on the student account. They're only limited to services on campus, such as the dining halls, the library, the bookstore, things of that nature. I believe they can also be used when the campus brings in like the food trucks. I believe the food trucks can also take in CAT dollars. But no, you can't use it to pay your student account.
Great. So the next question also has to do with the housing exemption. So this person states that they were approved for the housing exemption and they're wondering where they can change their cost for attending UC Merced.
So we'll be making those adjustments to your financial aid in July. But if you already know that you were, well, you know what, I take that back. I was going to direct you to the direct cost worksheet, but that's one of our limitations. So you might want to give us a call so that we can tell you how your financial aid is going to change once they approve that you're not living on campus.
Yeah, basically financial aid waits for a data feed from the housing office as to who signed housing contracts and who has not and who has exemptions. And once we receive that data feed, then we will update your financial aid award package with the correct cost of attendance, budget, and award.
Very good. Thank you both so much. All right. So then this person's sending in that they are a first-year student and they would like to bring a car. So is there a way that that's doable for them?
Technically, no. First-year students are, in general, not allowed to bring cars to campus, but there is an exemption form, and I can put it in chat because there's various reasons why somebody might absolutely need a car. One example might be that you're the primary caregiver of a family member, and so you have to be able to easily drive back and forth to that location pretty regularly, and that the bus schedule doesn't work for you. So you'll need to read through that exemption and see what the different options are out there.
Yeah, I would add to that too, that UC Merced has a great bus route that goes all through town and it comes on campus, and it's a hop on, hop off bus for UC students. So as long as you have your ID, you can hop on, no cost. So it's a great way to get around town and not have to have a car. There's also the university rents zip cars. So there's zip cars on campus that you can rent if you need a car as well.
Very good. Thank you. And another question for us tonight. Should someone, this person that's writing in, they're asking, should I be registering for any upcoming scholarships? Will there be refunds for scholarships? And does that affect how much they receive for their FAFSA in the future?
So for incoming students, we use the admissions application to award all institutional scholarships. So there's no additional scholarship application to complete for incoming students. Now, once you're a continuing student, there is a scholarship application for continuing students that you'll have to complete each year. We also do post external scholarship opportunities on our website. And I don't know, Lisa, if you can throw that link onto the chat, but there are some external scholarship opportunities that we advertise for students, so you might want to check those out as well. If you have received an outside scholarship and you're bringing it in with you, you'll want to report that scholarship to our office, and you can do that through Connect. And Lisa, you might have more detail on how students can report that in Connect.
Yeah, I can show you again real quick. Back in your Connect, when you clicked on the My Financial Aid, and then you selected the year 21-22, you're going to click on this tab right here that says resources, additional information. This is where you're going to report any outside scholarships that you're bringing with you. If you haven't done that yet, I recommend logging in and doing it sooner rather than later. Sometimes bringing in those outside scholarships can adjust some of the other aid that you have been offered. And if you have questions about that, give us a call, email us, chat us, and we definitely can help you with that. I also saw a couple of questions come in. Go ahead, Ron.
I was going to say also a lot of outside scholarship donors require proof of registration before they release the funds to the institution. So if you need to provide your donor with proof of registration, that's through our registrar's office, and there is a form for that.
And you can call the Students First Center and we'll get you set up with it. I also saw a couple of other questions come in about people saying that when they go into the My Financial Aid, it says it's not authorized for this user. There's nothing here. That can be for a number of reasons. The primary reason is that you didn't list UC Merced on your FAFSA or on your CAUTA. So tonight, log into those applications and double check that UC Merced school code is listed as a school to receive your financial aid information. Other common reasons for that is that you maybe put your social security number or date of birth incorrectly on either your admissions application or on your FAFSA or CAUTA. Again, you need to log into those applications and double check your information. If you do all of those things and all of that is correct and you're still not seeing this, then you need to give us a call. If one of those problems does fit you, from the day that you correct the information, it's going to take us about 5 to 7 business days to receive the information and get back to you.
One other thing I wanted to add, just it wasn't a question, but just add as additional information, is when you accept your student loans, they will not update your checklist item immediately. There is some lag time because of the processing of a student loan. So just be aware that if you do accept your loan, it's going to take us some time to process it, and your checklist item isn't going to be updated immediately.
Very good. Thank you so much. I know we are rounding out here to the end of our hour. So a couple more quick, I would say more so review questions. I know we've touched on these, but we can just touch on them one last time. All right. Another question coming in has to do with that $40 fee for the deferred payment plan, the DPP. A couple of questions asking, is it a one-time fee per semester? Is it per year, or once for the entire time that they're at UC Merced?
So it's one time per semester. So every time a student wants to enroll in the payment plan, they have to do it each individual semester. Just because you enrolled in it this semester does not automatically enroll you in the next semester. So that's why it's an inscription fee. So every time you subscribe to the plan, it's going to be $40.
Very good. And also one last kind of touch base overall recap here. When their financial aid does come in, be that in gift aid or student loans, parent loans, however that might look coming in, or even a scholarship, does that funding go directly to their bill and then they get a refund if there's a difference? Or does all of that money go to them and they then need to write a check or make that payment for the lump sum?
Almost all of it's going to go to the bill. There is an option for parent loans, because that would typically go to the parent, but they can have it applied to their account as well, the student's account. So there is some options with parent loans, but the rest of the aid will be applied directly to the student's account. Miguel, is there anything else you want to add to that?
That's it, Ron. The only thing is, if you do expect a refund, I would recommend you sign up for electronic funds transfer as soon as possible. And I'll link more information regarding that.
And I just wanted to do one correction. Miguel, the fee payment deadline is actually the 18th, not the 17th. And I put the link over in chat, just so everybody has it. It's there.
Perfect. Right. Thanks, Lisa. So altogether, it's August 18th, right?
Yes.
So get our little mantra going and our muscle memory builds up. All right, so August 18th, that's an important date. Flag your calendars, set your phone reminders. All right, well, like I said, we are trying to be mindful of everyone's time this evening. Now that we are getting close and kind of wrapping up this great event, I'd like to give each one of our expert panelists an opportunity to kind of give some last words. I'll go ahead and start with Miguel. If there's anything that you would really want this audience to take away tonight from your area of expertise, what might that be?
To make sure you check your August 2nd billing statement on August 2nd, just so you know what fees to expect, if any other fees that you're not expecting need to resolve. Maybe your health insurance waiver hasn't posted yet and you just want to check on that, or the authorized aid that's listed on the billing statement isn't what you expected, just so you're not waiting and scrambling to the last minute. So definitely check your August 2nd billing statement as soon as possible. And also, welcome to the university, y'all.
Wonderful. I'll hand things over to Lisa.
I think my tips are check your checklist. Your checklist has deadlines. Don't miss the deadlines. If you have questions or having problems submitting anything that's on your checklist, call us. Sometimes we get a little bit of a wait on the phones. We have a voicemail option and we return those voicemails within 2 days. So don't just hang up and think that it's busy and I can't get through. Leave a voicemail or send us an email. Our email is StudentsFirst.ucmerced.edu. We'll put that in the chat. Ask for help sooner rather than later. Don't wait to the last minute. And then my other thing is, this is all going to be gone over again at orientation. So remember, you don't have to make decisions yet. You're just planning ahead and you're being smart.
Great advice. Thank you, Lisa. And Ron, for a last word.
Sure, thank you. So Lisa stole all the good ones. I would say that, definitely get all your financial aid documents from your checklist in immediately, because it does take us a while to review all those documents and finalize your aid so it's ready to pay by the time the fee due date comes. So in addition to that, accepting loans, it does take some time to process loans. Probably about, I'm going to guess about 10 business days at least to process the loan. So make sure that you make a decision about accepting your loans earlier rather than later. That will help you later on down the road. And if you have any questions, contact the Students First Center. They are generalists and can answer almost all of your questions having to do with financial aid, admissions, registrar, other campus questions that you may have. And if they don't know the answer, they'll get you to somebody who does. And if it's a financial aid in-depth question, they'll refer you to a financial aid specialist to talk with one of our financial aid advisors. So, and with that, welcome everybody to our Bobcat family.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ron and Miguel and Lisa, of course. So this has been a wonderful outpouring of information for our great audience. We had a really wonderful turnout as well. So thank you to everyone who's been in attendance. We love seeing you here and trying to get all of your questions answered. If for some reason we didn't get to one of yours, as you've been hearing many times and seeing in the chat, the Students First Center is a fabulous opportunity for you to reach out to them in lots of different ways. So definitely mark your calendars for that August 18th date, but also mark someplace that the SFC is your #1 contact for all things UC Merced. They are the one-stop shop. All right, so once again, thank you all so much for joining us. Just a quick little plug here. I want to make sure that everyone is aware that we do have more of these events coming up. So we do our best to hit on all of the topics during each hour event. However, we always know that there might be another area of information that you might be interested in or have questions about. We've recently offered a couple for some different schools that we offer here. So that includes majors, academic advising. We have another one coming up next week. So a couple places that you definitely want to look for that would either be on the website, which I'm sure is being placed in the chat as I talk, but we do have a website for Bobcats Are Back, and that will be your prime opportunity to sign up for upcoming events, but also to find recordings for events such as this one. So within a couple days, we do our best to get the replays up. And we try to also make notes of some of the websites that were linked in the chat. So we'll put some of those on the screen. So hopefully if you didn't catch those or you haven't been clicking as we go, you can go ahead and take a look at the instant replays in just a couple of days. We also have our admissions channels for social media. So Instagram and Twitter, those are the two best places for you to find other upcoming events similar to this one. We do our best to go ahead and get information marketed and out to you also through email. So definitely take a look at all the different channels. Go ahead and subscribe while you're there so that you don't miss out on upcoming events. Pretty soon we will be doing some more Instagram live housing tours, so stay tuned. I'll give you a little insight. We have one happening tomorrow afternoon, so you might want to tune in. That would be live on the Instagram account. Once again, thank you all so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you to all of our expert panelists. We definitely hope to see you again very soon. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye all.